Buffalo, I really thought it was going to be different this year. We talked about it a few weeks ago. I said, I feel like Lamar or Josh Allen is going to break through. And I feel like if you're a Bills fan, you're going to look at some opportunities in this game. Now, you could say that about any close game, a lot of these games that the Bills have played against the Chiefs in recent years. But offensively, a couple opportunities in the second half. Defensively, you just really struggled throughout. Ruiz, when you look at this from a Bills perspective, and you obviously giving the Chiefs the credit that they deserve for coming through every single time in this spot, where do you look at first? Like when you look at how the Chiefs won this game or how the Bills lost this game?
I mean, if you're stepping back and looking at the big picture view, like, oh, we haven't gotten over this hump. Are we ever going to get over this hump? I know it's hard. It's hard after, especially after these two last games where you feel like you played them even and just kind of lost by fractions of a point per drive too. I think they lost this one, but it was 3.2 points per drive for the Chiefs and 3.2 for the Bills in this one, which was similar to last year. So like it hurts even more, but I don't know what you do. I think you just got to keep pushing. You just got to keep pushing. You just got to keep tinkering and adding and trying to get into a spot where you can defend these guys. I feel like they have gotten to that point. It's just been two unlucky breaks over the last two playoffs where they haven't been able to get over the hump, but they're there. I mean, they're good enough. It's a coin flip games back-to-back years, and they just happen to lose the coin flip. Maybe next year it comes up tails or heads or whatever you call it.
Yeah, it comes down to me to like a few instances we got to talk about. And let's start with the Bills offense here, Diante, because fourth quarter, 22-21, they try for the I don't even know what you call it. Is it just called the push sneak or whatever with right. Josh Allen? The officials rule it. One official rules it a first down. The other official rules it not a first down. They review it. Bills come up short right there. Turnover on downs. Chiefs go right down the field and score a touchdown. That's one. And then Ruiz already mentioned Spags, man. He's just adding these calls and these games and these plays to his resume. 4th and 5. I really thought we were at least getting, a tie game, and then you see if Mahomes gets the ball one more time or if it goes to overtime. And I thought the Bills had a chance to win it there. It's 4th and 5. He dials up a blitz, gets home. I thought Josh Allen made an incredible play, given the circumstances, just to launch that ball downfield. Dawson Knox cannot come down with it. So I can throw you all these stats about, well, the Bills did, X, Y, and Z offensively, and they played a good offensive game. And it's true, but you're also facing Patrick Mahomes. And I thought those two plays specifically are the ones that Bills fans are going to be talking about next 24 hours, 48 hours, 6 months, 10 years, whatever it may be.
1,000%. And I think maybe the worst part of it, the most painful part of it for Bills fans is that they were the right decision in both situations, and they were good calls in both situations. I would say especially that last 4th down where they got blitzed and Josh Allen just basically kind of had to chuck the ball up. Even in that situation, when they gave you the over-the-head view, you saw Dalton Kincaid break wide open. Like Kansas City kind of busted the coverage with that deep crosser, but the pressure got home because it was so well designed. They disguised it extremely well. But I think just overall looking at this game, it kind of brought me back to what we were talking about in the preview show, right? One of the things I said was for Sean McDermott, if you're looking at this offense, this is probably the best built offense to contend with the team like Kansas City, but that secondary should terrify him in this matchup. And that's exactly how it played out. I thought they did a good job of stuffing the run for the most part. They gave up a couple explosives where guys are just breaking tackles, but I thought they did what they needed to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. But what happens when you can't touch Patrick Mahomes? And that's what we got tonight, was Patrick Mahomes was just in that zone. It was just like last year's AFC title game where you watch that opening drive and it's like, oh, okay, we're getting that version of 15 today. Probably bad news for the team on the other side. And it never ended. And I think that Andy Reid was having not the full complement, because I can only imagine what this offense would look like if Rashee Rice was healthy and available, but just having enough speed now on the field where when you're running these crossers, when you're running these pick routes, when you've got these guys in condensed splits, it takes so little for them to break them open. And I don't think that Buffalo did anything wrong from a coverage perspective. You lost your number one corner, and the guy who was a backup has been an issue for them since he's been drafted. and they were just caught in bad situations. I thought the times they called man, it was the right thing to do to call man. They were just running pick routes. It looked very much like what that Houston game was in the regular season, where it seemed like every time Houston got into a high leverage situation and they wanted to lean on tight coverage, Kansas City had the answer, or Patrick Mahomes made something happen with his legs. I thought that this might be on the all-time list. This might be his best scrambling performance in his playoff career, even though you don't have as many explosive scrambles. I thought that everything he did was effective. His management of the pocket was great. This is the kind of game that makes him the greatest of all time. When you don't have the run game, you don't have a true number one receiver, your offensive line isn't really playing that well. They're just not getting pressure on you because you're you. And there's nothing that a defense can do to bother you. It speaks so well to who he is and how much he changes the math for defenses. And like you said, at the open to this, if you're Buffalo, you're kicking yourself, not because you did anything wrong, but just because you are another footnote in the greatest resume of all time right now.
It's getting so hard. And just to update that stat I had earlier, or to correct it, the Bills actually scored more points per drive than the Chiefs did in this game. The Chiefs just had 10 possessions to 9 possessions. Like, that's got to be so frustrating. And I think this is just like a kind of a freebie for Sean McDermott in terms of like his legacy or questions about his capacity to get this team over the hump, because I can't blame him for anything in this. And I've been kind of harsh on Sean McDermott, especially in the playoffs when he's gone up against these quarterbacks, and these top quarterbacks have just torched him. But I feel like Diante is right here. Like, they had the good calls on, they had a good plan. They probably had the better team and had the advantage when their defense was out there against the Chiefs offense. It just doesn't matter because number 15 is going to do whatever he has to take, or whatever it takes. Like, if it's 3rd and 5, he gets 6 yards. If it's 3rd and 8, he gets 9 yards. If the other team scores 29 points, he scores 32 points. Like, that's how they go 15-2 in the regular season, when the whole time we're thinking this team stinks and they shouldn't be winning these games. Well, it's probably because of Mahomes, and he's the best at his position, and he might be the best of all time.
Yeah, let's